So for us, we divide those drivers of disruption, those drivers of change into 5 clusters. The first cluster is what we call new change. It's basically a combination of factors, which means that whether it's technology or other factors, new business models, they're self-reinforcing, they're combinatory, and they're cumulative. So we talked about generative AI, but it's also take housing and 3D printing and materials technology, or that you can print a human part of the body. And it's many, many aspects which are really a type of change where the more things are connected, where the more things are cognified. That new change is a combination of things, often technology related, which is very important. The second cluster we consider to be what we call a hyper premium on relevancy. That it's harder to stay relevant today, whether it's machines, whether it's democratization of information, whether it's a number of factors. It's also a positive thing. If you're a young girl in the south of India and with the $30 smartphone, you can probably have as much information as a Harvard professor. So it works both ways, that the barriers to stay relevant are higher and shifting. The third cluster is very important and a key part of your show. I've listened to some of your other podcasts, and these are common themes, which is irreversibility. We put 3 things in irreversibility. One is climate, because for obvious reasons, if at some point you can no longer live on the planet or things are degraded to a point, you can't come back and sort of say, oh, we did wrong, we need to reverse that. The second irreversibility element is tech, and the third one is AI. And we separate tech and AI because AI has specific impacts in terms of human decision-making. So that irreversibility is a kind of feature of disruption, of change, which is very different from something that is not irreversible. The fourth cluster we call systemic paradigm shifts. These relate to societal paradigm shifts, the way information, with the disinformation, fake news, alternate realities, the splinternet, and then complexity, how everything is complex. I mean, the world is not more complex today than 100 years ago. The world is what it is, but there are features of society, of work, of many things which bring complexity to the forefront. So that fourth and penultimate cluster is really systemic paradigm shifts, and it's information, complexity, and society. And the fifth and final one is what we call rapidly approaching paradigm shifts. In other words, they haven't yet hit us, but they are in the making, and the writing is on the wall. One is new frontiers and global reshuffling. So that's India becoming very soon the largest, most populous country in the world. How much of the world population will be non-US, non-North American, non-Europe? Within not a long time, those parts of the world will be 20, 30% of the world population. And as countries like India, parts of Africa, Southeast Asia continue to grow and become more wealthy, maybe now those populous regions represent 20 or 25% or whatever of global GDP. Little by little, it might be 50, 60, 70% GDP. In other words, US and Europe becomes much less relevant. And then the other part of the rapidly approaching new areas is what we call quantum and artificial life. What are the paradigm shifts if you do reach quantum supremacy? What does it mean if you can create inorganic life? AI is one thing, but it's not life, it's just algorithms. What if that is actually inorganic life that's being created? So to take a step back, you're looking at these drivers of change, which is a new type of change, which is hyper premium on what it means to actually stay relevant for society, for a country, for individuals, for organizations. You're looking at irreversible features around climate, tech, and AI. You're looking at systemic paradigm shifts, and you're looking at those rapidly approaching new eras, which themselves would be quite transformational. And everything of what we discussed is very linked, hence the idea of systemic disruption.